Today marks the beginning of the 54th annual Bassmaster Classic on Grand Lake in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And while I'm not going to be there this year, I do think I know who potentially will win this Bassmaster Classic, who's going to do very well in this classic, and maybe even a few of the underdogs that might come away your champion this year. At the time of this recording, the Classic hasn't started. It starts in about 1 hour from now. By the time this video goes up, we'll have a good idea who's doing well in it via Bass Track. So there's a whole list of people I think that might do extremely well fishing Grand Lake. Grand Lake sets up like a lot of different impoundments all across the United States where everybody is from. We have a really spread out field of anglers from all over the United States fishing this year's Classic. A couple of them really pop out. I think that we all know who the fan favorite is going to be, but let's not start there. Let's start with the top 3 that I think will win this thing. I think that the number one person that I would love to see win this Classic would be my boy Matt Robertson, right? He is pretty local to me. We have fished a ton of tournaments against each other, and a lot of times he's whooped on me. A couple of times I've whooped on him. Most of the time he just takes my lunch money. One thing that comes to mind is this one early winter morning we were fishing a local derby, and he pulled up about 250-300 yards away from me and ended up catching a 10-pounder right in front of me. I got to watch it, and I brought in 2.5 pounds that day. That was a horrible tournament, but Matt is a really great dude. He's a very diverse dude. He struggled during the Texas run on the Elite Series this year, and he's had a bad start, but after getting done in Texas, he went to Kentucky Lake to fish one of the MLF events and came in second place, right behind my buddy Jake Lawrence. So he's got a little bit of momentum, and he seems, as always, he brought the swagger, I guess, to the Classic. If you guys watched the whole Night of Champions thing, he brought out the fur coat. I believe they said it was like buffalo or something like that. And, he was looking dapper as always coming into the Night of Champions. So he's looking pretty confident. I know he's feeling confident after doing so well during that MLF event. Got a nice payday from that. So he's coming off of a good finish here on Kentucky Lake. And that's the other thing. Kentucky Lake isn't the big ledge fishery that it once was. It's really hard nowadays. Of course, a lot of the people in that MLF event caught some bags, especially for the way that Kentucky Lake is, and it's coming back. And it seems like to me, I've fished Grand Lake 2 or 3 times. They're both very different fisheries. However, in a lot of ways, they're kind of similar right now, right? There's attributes, you could say that to any lake across the country, I guess, but they're very similar. They're both kind of tough right now. We got fish coming into spawn, you got fish coming shallow, all kinds of stuff. You could win doing a lot of different things, I'm sure. I haven't fished the lake in a hot minute, so I couldn't exactly tell you. I know Kyle Welcher had a video put up with Ronnie Moore. Yeah, Ronnie. And Ronnie went out on the final day with Kyle to do some, the last day of practice kind of thing for the Night of Champions. And he seemed like he was fishing predominantly really shallow on some rocky bluff banks that kind of remind me a lot of the northern end of Kentucky Lake. And I wouldn't be surprised if Matt was doing the same exact kind of deal. This could be a scoping tournament. I'm sure that's, of course, going to play because that's the big thing right now. But you could do a lot of things. I'm sure that you have other guys out there that's offshore looking at fish. You've got guys looking for fish to come up shallow for the spawn. You've got fish in that in-between stage where we're probably going to see the majority of the fish come from. I believe he said that the water temp was in the 50s, high 50s, Ronnie said, possibly in the video. I don't 100% remember. But that sets up really well for the way that Matt likes to fish. I know he's done a little bit of everything. Big swim bait guy, I think that could possibly play. And if you look back at other classics where a swim bait is played, he's done pretty freaking well. So that might be the deal for him. I know whenever you think of these lakes like Grand Lake, these Ozark lakes and stuff, a swim bait might not be the first thing that comes to mind. But it doesn't matter. Matt knows how to do it all, and I think that's exactly what we're going to see come from him this week. Number 2 on my list, of course, is the dangerous Ben Milliken. These northern boys, these guys that came from up north, that know how to fish lakes like this. Of course, Ben is a transplant. He's moved down to Texas now to really hone in on his fishing stuff. But these northern boys that know how to fish these highland type reservoirs and stuff, they know how to catch them, and Ben is no exception. He figured out how to catch fish in tough fisheries up north, like in Nebraska, and now that he's moved down to Texas, he's figured out how to catch big fish very consistently, more than he did whenever he lived in Nebraska. And he was beating the brakes off of people even whenever he lived up north. And now that he lives, down almost as south as you can get in Houston, he very much could be a player. The dude's gone everywhere and caught him right. He didn't have any terrible finishes really on the opens last year. That's how he qualified to fish this classic, is through the opens. And if he keeps it up, he's probably going to be fishing next year whenever we go back to Fort Worth. That's going to be a crazy tournament. That's one where he's definitely going to be dangerous, and everybody should watch out for him. But going to Grand Lake, he seemed like he was, sandbagging a little bit, I think, whenever he was posting. He said he found something on the last day that got him excited. I don't know what that's about. I'm sure he had all kinds of stuff getting ready for this tournament during practice that he was excited about, and he just isn't saying anything about it. If Ben wins this classic, could you guys imagine what that would be like? Him and Matt Robertson both, if either one of them won this classic, would absolutely burn it down. I mean, I couldn't imagine what would be left of the town after that. But Ben's got such a huge fan base. I can't imagine how many 402 jerseys are going to be in that arena during the weigh-in. That's absolutely astounding. I wish I could be there. I wish I could be one of the ones wearing them. I'm not going to make it this year, but dude, it's going to be crazy. There's going to be so many Milliken fans there, and rightfully so. The dude knows how to catch them, and that's something everybody should be scared of, not just for this classic, but for the rest of the Elite Series this year and going forward. The dude absolutely knows how to catch fish, and that's going to make him dangerous for this. I mean, he's probably gonna be up there, and if he bombs, it's gonna be like a 1 in probably 100 tournament thing, because the dude flat out catches them everywhere, it seems like, and that's unheard of. You hear about the Kevin Van Dams, the Jacob Wheelers that go everywhere and catch them right, but what Ben's been doing the past few years is absolutely ridiculous. Dude's going to be the next Jacob Wheeler. I don't care if it's with live scope, without live scope. He was catching them before we had live scope. He was catching them when he got live scope, and now he's catching them now that he's extremely proficient with it. The dude's just a flat-out hammer. Then we go on to the absolute fan favorite, Jason Christie. Jason come up short. I believe last time they were at Grand Lake, I think he came in like second place. He was right there. He was a fan favorite then, of course. Everybody always says it's extremely difficult to win at home, and especially now that we have live scope and everything, the playing field, as much as I hate to say it, it seems more equalized, right? Everybody can see everything. There are no secrets. It's literally just turned into making the fish bite. And I'm sure that he has a little sneaky holes, in places and whatnot that might turn up for him. Like I said, that's the Grand Lake kid there. Seems like everybody, if we looked at the fantasy fishing teams all across the board, I'm sure Christie's on everybody's radar, right? There's no way he's not. And if you look back, whenever he won the Hartwell Classic, they did have live scope then, and he used live scope in the morning, I believe, and then he went on to fish docks the rest of the day, I believe. I heard that the other day, and it seems like in the videos I've seen, that's kind of what he did. Of course, these are two different kind of fisheries here, but he's still a killer on this lake. He might do extremely well versus whoever, even if they do have live scope. Dude still knows how to catch them, He knows Grand Lake. Somebody that lives on a lake always seems to have a little bit of advantage, even though the hardest place to live or to win is on your home lake. Look at Lee Livesey on the first on Lake Fork, right? Everybody was rooting for him, thought that he was going to win, and on the first day he absolutely bombed. And everybody said, "Oh, he's gonna go to the juice. He's gonna go catch these big fish," and he never made it. It never happened for him. And on the third day, he was on Bass Live, talking, doing interviews, this and that. It's possible for anybody, right? Christie could bomb. Who knows, right? It's hard to win at home. I'm even going back to the Matt Robertson thing, getting second on Kentucky Lake. Everybody knew it was either going to be him, Jake Lawrence, Sam Lashley, one of those guys. But it turned out to be Jake, and even still, Matt was right on his tail. It could literally be anybody. And like I said, now that we have this live scope, it's possible anywhere for anybody to get a big sack and catch them. That's just the way it is. But the fan favorite for me, Jason Christie, I think that that's all the way across the board. Everybody's probably thinking like that. And you know, rightfully so. The dude knows how to catch them without live scope. Same thing as Milliken. He's a force, right? And I heard he was on Mercer's podcast the other day, and they were talking about how he's not as scary as he says, or as everybody thinks he is. But whenever he's on the water, especially on a place like Grand, that's scary. That's really scary. So those are my picks for the Bassmaster Classic. I'd love to see Matt take it away. I'd love to see Milliken take it away. We all kind of think that Christie's going to make it, right? But there are a few honorable mentions. First off, we got Matt Airy, who has come in second place a couple of times in the Classic, I do believe. I remember at the last Classic, he in Greenville, he came in second, I believe, and he seemed heartbroken about it, like he wanted to get back, right? Then we went to Knoxville, and I think he did really good again, and he still had that itch, that burn to win a Classic. So definitely somebody to watch out. You know, Matt's won a bunch of tough fisheries. I know he's won Beaver Lake back in the FLW days, and that's not an easy fishery to win on. Grand's going to be the same way. It's not going to be easy. It seems like a lot of guys have actually said it's kind of tough, and even though Milliken said that, I'm not sure I believe it. Brandon Card is another one. He's used to impoundments kind of like Grand, so very high chance of him. We go on to Joey Cifuentes, who won 2 Elite Series on his rookie year. That's absolutely crazy. I heard Ronnie Moore on the Night of Champions interview say that, you know, he thought that he was a veteran, or he thinks of Joey as a veteran whenever this is, his second year fishing the Elites. That's kind of crazy. The dude absolutely could lay up on them and catch some fish. Then we have John Cox. He's won an FLW tour, well, not just FLW tour, but he won the Forest Wood Cup on a difficult fishery. John can catch them kind of anywhere. He's been consistent through any tournament circuit. Any tournament he fishes, it seems like he's always somewhere either in the middle or the front end of the pack if he isn't winning the tournament. So that's definitely somebody to pay attention to. Then we got Kyoya Fujita, live scope king. The dude absolutely knows how to catch them. Being from Japan makes it all the more interesting. Somebody from out of the continental United States. The dude's got, live scope transducers on the back. He's got 2 on the front. The guy absolutely knows how to look at them on a screen and catch a few fish. So if it sets up like that, sets up well for that on Grand Lake, which I'm sure it will in some way, shape, or form on the lake, Koya is going to be a very dominant force and somebody to watch out for. And then, last but not least, we have both of the Johnston brothers. They're a force anywhere they go, right? On the regular Elite Series, just about any tournaments I've seen them fish, they're always somebody to watch out for. And going back to the whole Northern Boys thing, these guys that live up north know how to catch them in lakes like Grand, right? You look at Beaver Lake or, just any of those kind of central United States fisheries, and it seems like they do pretty well, right? Even Gussie, Gussie won it last year in Knoxville, fishing on a very tough Fort Loudon, and stumbled the last day, of course, but he still took the win. And that's another one probably to look out for. Gussie is he wants that title twice. They said the other day, or Christy did, after you win it once, that's the problem. You want to win it again and again and again. But I'm pretty sure Christy's probably got this one in the bag. If not, one of these other guys that I've named off, especially those Johnston brothers, they could very well take this thing home. So that's my picks for the 2024 Bassmaster Classic. If you're watching this after the tournament's over on I think it's the 24th or the 25th. 4th, so Sunday on the 24th. You can go back and watch this. Let's see if I'm right. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I wish I could be there so bad. I know that the expo is going to be crazy. The only thing I'm not too happy about is the expo is so far away from where the actual classic itself, the classic weigh-in is going to be. That's kind of a turn-off for me. But I'd still love to be there. Either way, I hope you guys, if you're there, you enjoy it. It's absolutely by far my favorite event of the year to film. I usually work the event, set different booths. I film for people, film for companies, and that's some of my favorite stuff that I do all year long. It beats ICAST. It beats all the little trade shows. The Classic is where it's at. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you enjoy watching on Bass Live. And, man, if you're there, like I said, enjoy the experience. Not everybody goes to them every year like I do, except for this year. It's always a good time. The cities, the towns are always amazing. And, yeah, enjoy yourself if you're there. It's pretty great. Anyway, that's all I've got for this video, guys. Hopefully we'll be back on the water very, very soon. I'm actually getting back into fishing a lot. I know I've said that in the last, 4 videos talking about it, but it's been hard to take a camera out. I've just been out enjoying myself, which is what fishing's all about, right? So anyway, I'll see you guys right here in the next one. Whoever wins the Classic, congratulations, and I'll see you in the next one.